On the 16th of December 1916, members of the wider Romanov family finally made their move. That evening, Rasputin disappeared in Petrograd. Anastasia recorded in her diary,
"Father Grigory went missing last night. They're looking for him everywhere. It's absolutely dreadful."
That night, the sisters were so upset that the four of them shared a bed. 2 days later, they heard the news they had dreaded. Rasputin had been murdered. It was Olga alone who recognized that his death might be a blessing in disguise.
It's interesting, of the four sisters, Olga seemed always the most sensitive to the wider political situation. And she had sensed, I think, for quite a while, that there was a certain malevolent influence about Rasputin that was not a good thing. And perhaps there was a need to kill Rasputin because he'd overreached himself with their mother and his influence over her. But what upset her was the brutal way in which he was murdered.
Rasputin was poisoned with cyanide-laced cream cakes, shot, and then bludgeoned to death in the cellar of the Moika Palace, home to Felix Yusupov, the heir to Russia's greatest fortune. For the imperial family, it wasn't just the gruesome details of the murder that was so shocking, but the fact that his killers were intimately known to them. Yusupov was married to the Tsar's only niece, and his co-conspirator, Dmitry Pavlovich, was even closer to Nicholas and Alexandra, and had once been considered the ideal husband for Olga.
Rasputin's murder is sort of a family murder, almost, if you will. I mean, Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, one of the main conspirators, was a cousin of Nicholas II and was practically raised almost as a surrogate son by Nicholas. So this was sort of treachery at a most intimate, personal level, and clearly struck at the very heart of Nicholas and Alexandra when they learned the degree to which the people that they had allowed in, and very few people were allowed in to them and to be close to them, these were the ones who then sort of thrust the dagger and struck at a person in whom they had placed all their faith and hope.
Alexandra is completely desperate over Rasputin's murder. She's also very bitter. There was already a great divide between her and the rest of the family, but it must have made it enormously impossible to cross the divide when it was realized that actually members of their own family had been involved in the assassination. It's like assassinating her.
The Romanov clan hoped that the murder would be just the first step in a palace coup. It wasn't Rasputin alone they wanted to see the back of, but the Tsarina herself.
Rasputin's murder was part of a larger plan. It wasn't simply one murder that they were planning, but it was sort of a larger way of trying to neutralize, not just obviously Rasputin, but Alexandra as well. That there was talk that she would be sent to a convent and forced to take orders as a way of getting her out of the government, of again fighting these dark forces, and thus allowing Nicholas, they hoped, to stand up and take complete rule of the country.
Nicholas's own mother allied herself with her son's opponents and agreed that her wayward daughter-in-law should be banished.
If only the Lord would open poor Nicky's eyes, and that he would stop following her dreadful advice. What despair! All of this will end in disaster.
I think the conspirators believe that the monarchy will come to its senses. Nicholas will correct his policies and allow for a sort of compromise with the opposition forces to see the country through to the end of the war. But, you know, in assassinating Rasputin, they bring about quite the opposite, because Nicholas and Alexandra withdraw even further into seclusion and will have no truck with any talk of reform. So that by January 1917, we have a really hopeless situation in which there's no possibility for any compromise at this late stage. And really, the monarchy's doomed.